So I know I told you we're going to go on a lot of adventures with the Spyder, and we are. But I figure if I live in Niagara Falls, I ought to take you to Niagara Falls. So if you see these two futuristic looking towers there, you might wonder, what is that all about? Well, we're going to explain. These are what's called the water intakes. These two towers are known to locals as water intakes. Well, what does that mean? What are they intaking? It is not for drinking water. There is a drinking water intake in the river, but these two giant towers are not the water intakes for drinking water. And I just have to explain this to you because it's an engineering marvel that happened in the 1960s. So the water towers are part of the New York Power Authority's power production program. And basically what happens is these two towers suck water out of the upper Niagara River, and I'll just explain that now. The upper Niagara River that we're looking at right now is before the Niagara River flows 200 feet over Niagara Falls. Then it flows north 200 feet lower to Lake Ontario, and that is the lower Niagara River, right? Intuitive, but I felt like it needed to be explained. These towers, and by the way, the Canadians do the same thing, these towers draw water from this river, and they pump them in tunnels that way, north. I guess it's actually northwest, to a reservoir under the ground. The tunnels are under the ground, and they go into a reservoir. The reservoir releases, as the New York Power Authority controls it, releases water through a channel to the Niagara Gorge. And we're going to see the gorge today. We'll see it a lot, actually, in future videos. But there's a giant dam that they built there, and there's also a dam on the other side of the river that the Canadians built, and that dam is one of the largest power producing hydroelectric plants. Certainly it's the largest in the state of New York. It powers a ton of cities all across the Northeast, but it's done with water pumped from the upper Niagara River, tunneled underneath the city of Niagara Falls into a reservoir, and at some point we're going to drive over the road that goes over that dam, and it's an engineering marvel. And I felt like I didn't plan on showing you this today, but I couldn't just drive by it without telling you a little bit about that history. A slight diversion off our intended path, but that's okay. So now we are on the Niagara Scenic Parkway, which used to be called, up until just a couple of years ago, the Robert Moses Parkway. And you can Google Robert Moses to learn a little bit about him. But again, this is the upper Niagara River, so I'm not sure if you can see it, but the tip across the river, the tip of that land right there is Goat Island, and we're about to head onto Goat Island. You can see, well, I hope you can see some rapids starting here. These are the upper river rapids where they begin right here. I'm going to stand up to see if that gives you any better perspective, and I'm going to try not to lose control of the vehicle when I do that. This is well before our normal season. Our tourist season is really a summer season. We're trying to change that, but the fact is it's mostly a summer season. Okay, in front of us is the Red Coach Inn. I think I referenced the show The Office, the comedy show The Office. It was partly filmed in that, or at least set in that hotel when Jim and Pam got married and came to Niagara Falls. Okay, so now we're going to take the bridge over to Goat Island, and we're going to go right over the Niagara River, the upper rapids. And I'm going to try to stand up and give you some good views without losing control of the vehicle and killing myself, although that would probably make a pretty awesome YouTube video. Gosh, I hope you can see that. I can't look too long because I have to drive this thing, but there's no one in front of me, so I hope that that's coming through. I hope the rapids, the Canadian skyline. I'm going to park right here, and I'm going to take you to what's called Three Sisters Island. And I'm just doing this on the fly. I don't have this scripted out. But I'm going to take you to Three Sisters Island, and I'm going to do it, parking brake, I forget that a lot, and it creates such a racket. For those of you with Spyders, you know what I'm talking about. Look at that. Look at that. But our views will get better, believe me, we're going to get closer. And there you go. So there, those are part of the, in the beginning of the upper rapids right there. But, so I'm going to continue this walk here, and I'm going to shut up for a moment and let you check out the sights. So again, this is Three Sisters Island, and we're going to head back. I'm going to turn off the camera so I don't once again burn out or lose my battery, and then I'll pick it up when I get when I'm closer to the falls. I'm going to walk out there, so it's going to take a bit, but you won't know that when you're watching video because I'm going to edit it tightly. But we are now looking at Horseshoe Falls, which are the Canadian falls. So basically the Niagara River flows from that way west to this way, and it falls off this cliff here in what we call Horseshoe Falls, the Canadian falls. The American falls are that way. We're going to head there in a moment. I'm doing a lot more walking today than I thought. I thought I'd shoot all of this from the bike, but the motorcycle, I'm sorry, but so you can see the Skyline Tower there. I don't know if the camera is going to let you see the car coming down, the elevator, I should say, coming down. Okay, so we're approaching the Niagara River Gorge, which is basically the cut in the earth where the Niagara River flows. The lower Niagara River flows from the falls due north. It hooks and jags at a couple of places, but eventually empties into Lake Ontario. Now we're going to walk along this gorge just a short way to take a look at the American Falls. So Bridal Veil Falls is that small channel right there going off the cliff, off the gorge. Then there's Luna Island there, and then there's the American Falls there. And I hope, it appears to me that the camera's pointing right towards that rainbow, just below, between the Rainbow Bridge and this body of land. If you look right there, you should be able to see a rainbow. I hope you can. Until I edit these videos, I never really know what you're seeing. The other thing is, I don't have an ND filter on today, and I'm not really sure I understand ND filters yet, but that might affect how all of this plays out. So, I was just mentioning that the Canadians have a different vantage point. So when we look at Niagara Falls, we look at it kind of from the side, and same thing with Horseshoe Falls. We look at it from the side. But when you're on that side, and we will not today, but we will be going to that side. You're looking at Niagara Falls. It's kind of full frontal, and Niagara Falls is all lit up at night. And when you're in one of those towers, those hotels, it is something else. Okay, so now we're heading to the tip of Goat Island, and I'll just kind of slow down as we get to the tip because it's kind of cool. So we are now looking east. I don't know if you can see it in the with the camera, but I don't think the GoPro does well on distance, but I can see the Grand Island bridges up ahead, a couple of miles. But this is where the Niagara River flows around Goat Island. 10% of it comes this way towards the American Falls. If you see the river here, you can see the upper rapids just getting going right there. That's about 10% of the Niagara River flowing there. And on the other side, at Horseshoe Falls, it's about 90% of the Niagara River. And when you look at a satellite view, and just for kicks, if you want to go to your Google Maps and hit Niagara Falls and go to satellite, you can see what I'm talking about. How it's such a massive amount of water that flows over the Canadian side. So now we're heading back over the bridge to the mainland from Goat Island. This is the First Street Bridge. We're about to be on First Street in Niagara Falls, and I'm going to give you another good shot of the upper rapids flowing towards their ultimate fate over Niagara Falls. That skyscraper, that tower you see there, used to be called the United Office Building. The rounded building to its right, the brick building to its right, used to be the Hotel Niagara. Marilyn Monroe stayed there, Frank Sinatra stayed there. But that United Office Building, which is now called the Giacomo Hotel, that was my home for 6 months when I first moved to Niagara Falls. And I had some great views. I'm not really a city living guy. I'm not really a big kind of a big apartment building living kind of guy. But I will tell you, for a short period of time, it was pretty cool. This right here is a neat place to come, especially at night, because all of those hotels are all lit. Okay, so there you go. How's that for a view? You can see, well, maybe you can't see it, but my naked eye can see it. The Rainbow Bridge is busy. People coming into the United States. Go with the flow. So the Rainbow Bridge, if you can't see it, but it is packed with cars coming from Canada into the United States. And that is not unusual. A lot of them are Canadians shopping at American stores, and we love that because things are cheaper here. I'm not going to get into the politics of it with taxes and regulations and all the rest of it. But one day I'll tell you a funny story. When I first moved here and didn't understand a lot of the, the intricacies of Canadians shopping here, but you can see there's like 1 or 2 lone cars going that way towards Canada. It's kind of funny. I would love to take you to Whirlpool State Park, and you know what? We're gonna do that. We're gonna go to Whirlpool State Park because you just have to see that. I know, like, I'm new with this. I'm gonna be cutting lots of videos, so I can probably do a separate video on that. But we're gonna go for a quick jaunt a couple of miles north of here to Whirlpool State Park. Whirlpool State Park. Keep left. Gorge Trails. That's us. Okay, so for me to show you, we're not going to see all of Whirlpool State Park. There are great trails that walk along this gorge, both on the upper rim of the gorge as well as down at the bottom, right near the river. They're like great hiking trails. I know them like the back of my hand. We are not going to spend a lot of time here. You can see they're doing some work to the structure here, the shelter at the park. But I have to take you to see the Whirlpool. Why is it called Whirlpool Parking Brake? I don't want to rack it because I forgot to turn on the parking brake. So let's go for a quick walk. So you can walk this trail, which becomes a dirt trail, and you can walk all along the rim of this gorge and see some breathtaking, beautiful sights, all the way to Devil's Hole State Park and beyond. And you can also walk this way along the gorge and get back to Niagara Falls State Park. So you can see the lower rapids, the Whirlpool rapids, coming down. I hope you can see them. From where we just passed the Whirlpool bridges. The rapids begin right at those bridges. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but I can see, my naked eye can see a trail. Well, I've walked that trail many times. That's the Lower Gorge Trail. And this rocky area here is known as the Flat Rocks area. You get down to the lower trails by a couple of different ways. There's a stairway about a half a mile this way. There's another stairway at the Devil's Hole State Park a couple of miles up that way. But I don't know if you can see them, but with the naked eye, there's a few people down here. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people on our side. The Canadians have a Flat Rocks area as well. And then I don't know that you're going to be able to see it, but if you can see the shoreline of the Whirlpool on that side, then you may be able to make out. I can spot them easily with my naked eye, multiple people fishing over there. Now, if you look at the Great Lodge structure there, on this side of that roadway, there's a facility that operates what's called the Spanish Aero Car. I think they call it something else now. And I did not intend to spend a lot of time here, but if you can see up ahead, there's a red thing there. That's a open air car that traverses across the Whirlpool. Now, that's Canada and that's Canada, so the car never crosses the boundary. It just goes over the Whirlpool from one point in Canada to another. I've not done it. I'd love to do it someday, and I probably will. If I do, I'll probably video it and take you along. But I just wanted you to see this. Again, this was not meant to be an immersive tour of Niagara Falls. Just kind of impulsive things that I'm thinking about that you should see on our ride today. I'm going to get back to the bike and then we'll pick it up from there. Thank you.